You know, back in the golden age of television, when screens were all black and white, a show popped up with this huge, scandalous secret right at its heart. It had a quick, bright flash of fame, and then it just vanished, almost like it was never there. So let's dig in together and uncover this lost piece of TV history.
So, what was this secret? What could possibly have been so shocking that it could carry an entire series back in 1954? Well, we're about to find out as we pull back the curtain on a show that dared to tell the story of a woman with something to hide.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to go back in time. We're talking about the very early days of TV. It was kind of like the Wild West. New shows were popping up all the time, and they disappear just as fast. And our show, Woman with a Past, is the perfect example of that.
This show was a classic daytime soap opera that aired on CBS way back in 1954. But what was really different about it was the format. Each episode was only 15 minutes long. They were these little short, punchy bursts of drama, perfect for someone to catch in the middle of their day.
But here's the crazy part. It was gone in a flash. 5 months. That's it. It started in February, and by July, it was completely off the air. So what on earth happened? The show's title alone tells you everything you need to know, right? It hints at all the drama. And at the center of it all was a secret that was so shocking for the time, it was the engine for the entire plot.
So, what was this past? What secret could possibly be considered a huge scandal in the mid-1950s? And there it is. The main character's 7-year-old daughter was, as they said then, illegitimate. Now, today, that might just be a minor character detail, but in 1954 America, this was a really controversial and dramatic idea for a TV show.
This quote from one of our sources just sums it all up perfectly. Can you imagine trying to build a career and a life for yourself while hiding a truth that society at the time thought was completely shameful? That was the daily struggle for our main character, Lynn Sherwood. So, now that we know the secret, let's talk about how it all played out on screen. Because this show wasn't just about the past. Oh no, it was a full-on soap opera. We're talking rivalries, love triangles, and even a little bit of glamour. Our hero was Lynn Sherwood, played by the actress Constance Ford. She was written to be this really modern working woman, a dress designer in Manhattan, trying to make a name for herself, all while protecting her daughter and her secret. And of course, you can't have a good soap opera without a rival. For Lynn, that was Sylvia Rockwell. See, Sylvia was trying to win back her husband, Steve, who was falling for Lynn. And Sylvia was totally willing to use Lynn's big secret as a weapon to get what she wanted. It's just classic soap opera drama. The show also did something really clever. Since Lynn was a dress designer, the plot wove in the world of fashion. Her character actually opened her own dress shop, which gave the producers the perfect excuse to stage these little fashion shows for the audience at home. For viewers in the 50s, that was a real treat. That really stands out. But the drama wasn't just happening in the script. Believe it or not, behind the scenes, Woman with a Past was dealing with its own problems, and they were just as chaotic as any on-screen love triangle. The issue was, actors were coming and going at a pretty alarming rate. I mean, if you're trying to get an audience invested in your characters, that is a huge, huge problem. Seriously, it was a revolving door of actors for some really key roles. The little girl, Diane, was played by at least 2 different actresses, plus a temporary stand-in, and the main villain, Sylvia, was also recast. That kind of instability is just a recipe for disaster. This quote really puts it all into perspective. Soap operas were already known for cast changes, but what was happening on this show was just extreme, especially for a series that only lasted 5 months. It's a huge red flag that things were not going smoothly. So you've got a scandalous plot and total chaos behind the camera, and it all leads to a very, very short run. But did Woman with a Past leave any kind of legacy? Well, it turns out it actually did, even if it was a small one. I want you to think about these 2 numbers for a second. First up, 15. That's how many minutes each episode lasted. Just a short, concentrated little dose of drama every day. And then there's 5. That's how many months the show was even on the air before it was just gone. The contrast between those 2 numbers really tells you everything about how fleeting the show was. You can see the show's entire lifespan laid out right here. It premiered on February 1st, and by July 2nd, it was history. It barely even made it from winter to summer of a single year.
But this is its most lasting and probably most important contribution to TV history. Playing the main character's friend, Gwen, was a young actress named Jean Stapleton, who would, of course, go on to become the legendary Edith Bunker in All in the Family. This little forgotten soap was an early stop on her path to becoming a TV icon. And all this kind of brings us to a final thought. Woman with a Past is this fascinating little time capsule, a show that was maybe a bit ahead of its time with its themes, but was also a victim of its own backstage chaos. And it just makes you wonder, how many other stories, how many other forgotten shows are out there, just lost to time?
If you had fun digging up this little piece of television history with us, please do us a favor and hit that like button, and subscribe for more deep dives like this. And we would love to hear from you. Tell us about a forgotten show that you remember down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.